What is something that you've had to kill off in the last 6 months?
In the last 6 months, what am I killing off? My desire to be right. My desire to, my pride has been dying a lot recently.
Praise God. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I was off social media from July through December of last year. So I took 6 months. I wasn't on social media at all. Didn't post, didn't look at it, didn't do anything. Like I even got convicted over being on Facebook Marketplace, you know? I mean, like I'm like, this is not even social media. This is like, I'm trying to buy stuff to furnish my house, you know? But I felt the conviction of the Lord on it. So I just stopped doing it. And so, yeah, so I was off social media for 6 months. And really what the Lord was doing was just refining, like, why do you post? Why do you care? Like, why do you want followers? What does it matter to you if you're not going to disciple them?
Wow.
Like, what do you actually care about? And I think that's the biggest thing is like, when it came down to it, I posted because I was insecure and I wanted people to tell me that they liked me. I posted content that I felt like would go, like I put excellence into it because I wanted to go further, because I thought if I had a bigger reach, then I was more valuable. Like all this stuff is pride.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm just slowly dying. And it's so funny too, because I got back on social media on January 1. I was like, we're back. You know, here's what I learned last year from not being on social media. And the funniest thing happened, dude. My follower count started tanking.
Really?
Like tanking. People were
as soon as you posted, they're like, we don't want to see this guy anymore.
I know. Yeah. And I was like, I feel like if this happened 6 months ago, I would be like, what the heck? Like, I guess I did something wrong. I guess I need to redo what I was posting, or I need to post more so I can get those followers. Like, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like at all.
They're not your tribe. They're not your tribe. Like they weren't there to begin with. Like,
yeah, I had one video that went viral when I talked about abortion, and that was probably 2 years ago. I mean, it got like on TikTok, it got, what's funny is, not on my page on TikTok, but people who screen recorded it and then posted it on their page.
It blew up even more.
Got like 100,000, 1 million views on a couple of these things before it got taken down because of
what you're talking about.
Yeah, what I'm talking about. Yeah, it got taken down by like every account, which was like 5 or 6 accounts, which was so funny. So like it was, like I loved it because I'm like, man, we're
doing something right.
Devil, man. Yeah,
making waves.
Yeah. But got all these followers from that video, which was cool. I think I grew from one video like 1,500 followers, something like that, which is crazy, which was really cool. But then, you know, when you're not posting every day about abortion, then they're just like, this isn't the content I thought. Like, what?
I thought he was the abortion guy.
Yeah, I know. It's like, no, I'm
the Jesus
pastor guy. Yeah, like I preach. Like that's what I post, and then I post like thoughts that I have, and I write it out on notes. You know.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, I like them because it's like. It looks clean, but it's like no effort, you know? And I feel like that's the big thing is the Lord is kind of reminding me of is that like content, like good content is good content regardless of like the quality behind it. And you can make it look super cool and super pretty, but if like all you're saying is like something that's not quotable, it's like nobody cares.
Yeah.
And so like and the cool thing too is when you like content isn't something I'm like searching for. But like when I spend time with the Lord, he just drops gems of revelation into my life. And then I just share that. And then it's like, hey, here's what I've been learning from the Lord in the secret place. And then I just share it with people. And it's like, for me, it's a big deal because it's like every time the Lord speaks, it's a big deal because he doesn't have to speak ever. So when he does, it's like super valuable. But then when I just share it with people and it's like, oh yeah, this is resonating and like this is cool. Like
that was my whole like first 2 seasons.
Yeah,
of I Like Birds. It's just that, you know, it's just what the Lord.
That was when it wasn't good though.
Oh,
that's what your friend said.
That's my friend said. Yeah, you're right. He meant the guest episodes.
Yeah,
that's what he was saying.
No. But. Yeah, but no, that's it though. It's like it's if you want to be effective in ministry, it's not difficult. It's really not. All you got to do is spend time with Jesus, hear what he says, or see what he shows you, and then just tell people what you heard or what you saw, and then pray to the Lord that it hits them like it hit you. So that's all I do with the Sunday encounters, you know, when I'm preaching or when I'm teaching or, you know, even stuff like this. Like I'm telling you about like, hey, this is what the Lord did for me and like how I was off social media and this is what it meant and this is how it revealed this parts of my life. And I'm just sharing something and hopefully it's going to resonate with people, but it's not me in this like, oh yeah, I'm really trying to figure out what's the best way to like minister to people. It's like, no, I'm just spending time with Jesus. And then it's an overflow.
Overflow.
And so the problem is that people, a lot of the times, like I'm sharing something with you that took 6 months to marinate, you know?
Yeah.
And so the hard thing is that people, every time they hear from the Lord, they think that I have to share this with someone else, or they think the only time that God speaks is for you to share it with somebody else, instead of first letting that thing rub you first, and like correct you. And then it's like, oh, actually the main goal here isn't for me to be a minister. It's actually for me to be a disciple. It's like the main goal of the Lord speaking to me isn't so that I can have something to say. It's so that I can be closer to Jesus.
Right. He's refining you. He's working on that character. He's transforming you. He's sanctifying you. And I think that's so great because I actually read Kenneth Hagin share something similar. Like, I didn't want to share a revelation until I lived it out enough to be actually a testimony.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is you're sharing an idea before you're sharing a part of who you are. And so if you're just sharing revelation that you haven't lived, like it can be something that the Lord shared with you and like really spoke with you and it's been great. But until it's like really resonated and shared and like really seeped into the being and the fabric of who you are, then it comes off as inauthentic.
Right.
Because then you're just sharing something that's like, oh yeah, like you should be really forgiving because this is what the Bible says and this really jumped out at me. But if you haven't let that be like, well, yeah, but you still have unforgiveness towards your dad. Yeah. It's like, and we all know it, and you're still bitter. And you haven't let that thing like really flesh out, then yeah, you can tell us all the time, like all day long, what the Lord showed you. But like if you haven't lived it out and like really had that refine you, then all you're doing is just trying to share information without it really becoming the revelation of like, man, this is like really affected who I am, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's not to say you can't share what God's doing. I think it's just like having good people skills and a good relationship with the Lord, where it's like, I'm not in this. That's the dangerous part is people put ministers on a platform and like put them on like a pedestal. And so they're like, oh, if I could just get where they're at, and if I could just have their audience, if I could just have their church, if I could just have that pulpit, whatever, then I would be all this stuff. And so it's just like the stair step, like trying to, what's the next step to get me to the next greatest area, next speaking engagement or next ability. And it's like, well, first of all, you just need to spend time with the Lord, and you actually need to have content to share before you ever get a platform. Because what I've found is that the Lord won't give you something unless he's actually equipped you to be able to handle what he's having you step into.
That's good.
And so like, people are like, well, Alex is starting this church and he's doing all this stuff, whatever. It's like, yeah, sure, it's cool. But the reason why the Lord trusts me is because I was nobody for a really long time that nobody cared about. You know, and like the only reason why like we're able to have the stuff that we have and like the reach that we have, which isn't even a drop in the bucket for what I believe God's doing and about to do. But the only reason I feel like the Lord's trusting us with more is because I'm content not being anybody. Like I don't care if we ever grow. Like I'm not like our church posts maybe one time a week on social media.
Right.
Like we're actively trying not to grow.
So you're almost ministering, like you're focused on ministering to the ones in front of you, and letting that be enough, and like letting and trusting God that that's who He gave you and that's who He trusts you with. So it's like that's who's about, because you are shepherding, you are leading. So it's like when you are sharing these words with people, you want to have that authentic, I'm living this out, in a way to lead to where people can also take the action, not just to talk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because like the hard thing is when we start, like we will start like I said, putting people on pedestals and like really making ministry like this aspiring thing to get to. And so then it's like the baby Christians are like, oh, well, that means that everything that the Lord speaks to me, I need to share with somebody. And it's like, that's not the case. Like probably don't make a TikTok video today. Like actually probably just stay with the Lord for another hour.
Yeah. And journal it and then like pray into it.
Yeah. And then just like be okay being hidden.
Thank you so much for supporting our YouTube channel. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe and smash that like button. If you would like to see another short clip from this episode, you can do so here. Or if you want to see the full conversation, you can do so here. And make sure you subscribe on Patreon if you'd like to partner with us. You can do that at the link in the description of this video. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.